Wendy
and Friends.
Change the graphic, and we're good.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Wendy and Friends. Thank you for tuning in to my first episode, where I chat with people I think are cool, but most importantly, I chat with people I think you'll think are cool. So my first guest is Steve Lewis, the legendary Steve Lewis.
Hey, Wendy.
Hey.
Congratulations on the new show.
Thanks.
I'm honored to be your first guest.
Thanks, Steve.
What are we going to talk about?
We are, well, most of our conversations are interesting, so
Okay.
I figured we'd just have interesting conversation.
Just a chat.
Just a chat. Just a
Okay.
little chat.
I'm ready.
You ready? So we're in Brooklyn. What's up, Brooklyn? Yeah, so Steve, where are you from?
Wendy. I'm from Jackson Heights, Queens.
Queens in the house, strong. I'm from Queens too. I'm from
Alright.
Bayside.
I like it. I like Queens. I live there now. I'm in Long Island City now, and I like it. I live by the water and have a nice loft, and I'm very happy there. I was in Williamsburg for many years, and it's become a little bit boring for me.
How many years were you there?
About 8 years.
8?
Yeah.
Where were you before that?
On Prince Street between Mott and Elizabeth, which was
Okay.
really hot for a long time.
Yeah.
But then it got too many tourists and too many boutiques that I didn't want to go to. And Ina's still there, and I love Ina, but I really hated it after a while. I couldn't walk my dog without wanting to kill like 10 people. So I moved to Williamsburg, had a great time, but then it started to get a little bit too many trust fund kids, and it just became exponential. And of course, everybody spread out to Bushwick and Greenpoint and all that, but even those places are now getting weird. Although where we are in Bushwick right now is still, affordable, I guess, is
Yeah.
the best way to say it.
Yeah, no, it's nice. And it's so cool.
Yes. And I'm cool because I'm on your show, and this is the cool thing, right?
Yes.
So let's
That's,
talk about something cool.
That's why you asked me why we hang out. You've asked me like twice. It's like because you're cool.
Thank you.
Steve's a truly cool OG New York guy.
Does anybody know who I am?
Oh yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Steve Lewis is a former club operator. He used to operate Limelight, Tunnel, Palladium, USA.
USA.
A
World.
ton more.
Red Zone. Life. Spa.
No
About-
big deal.
about
Just
50
just a
about
few
50 places.
just a few of the
Yeah.
most legendary clubs in New York.
I'm a nightlife.
All of them.
I'm a nightlife lifer.
He's a nightlife king. Legend.
Used to be.
Used to be. Now Steve designs clubs.
Clubs, restaurants,
Restaurants.
bars, things like that. Hopefully hotels, doing one right now. I'm doing a restaurant, which you were at today, and on 163 Allen Street, which is called Miss You. And today it really started to gel. It's going to open up the first week of May, and it started to look good, really good today. I was happy with it.
It looks beautiful. Steve does great work. He has designed Webster Hall, the Old Marquis, the DL, Hotel Chantal, to name a few, but many places that you've probably been in have been designed by Steve. So yeah, how was designing Webster?
Well, Webster Hall is probably the best room in the country. One of the best rooms. It's been around for over 100 years. I think it was 1866 or something. And acoustically, it's amazing.
What was it back then?
Oh, it was many things. It was a social place, a social
Okay.
gathering. I mean, I think the women's right to vote was settled in the room.
Sick.
Elvis played the room, Frank Sinatra. I mean, all these people, because it was an RKO studio also. And there's so many naturally beautiful things like moldings and the balcony and all that. So the job was really more to restore it. And I felt that Webster Hall could never be new because it was so old, but to bring it back to nostalgia I learned on Mad Men was a very strong, potent is the word he used, weapon. So I tried to let people know about the history of Webster Hall, and I exposed a lot of the things that were covered up, like by acoustical panels and things like that, to show the natural beauty of the room. But it was an incredibly large room, and despite what it said in the New York Times, I spent about $200,000, less than $200,000. Although the New York Times said I spent like $1.7 million, and yeah, maybe I made it look like that, but it really, I didn't have enough money to spend around. But it turned out all right, and it's, I didn't kill it; it's still there. Although they just sold it last week, so it's becoming a concert venue rather than a nightclub now.
Yeah. It happens, I guess.
Happens to everybody.
Yeah.
You get old, you get change.
What year was that?
What? When I designed it, I
Yeah.
don't know. 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
Did you go to like a concert after you designed it? Was it
I haven't been back many times. No, I haven't been back too many times. I was there. I lingered for a couple of months every night just to see how it was functioning, because everybody can have a theory about how a place will work, but only an asshole will leave his own crap. When I do a place, I go back and I see what I did right, and more importantly, I see what I did wrong. If you don't learn from mistakes, you're destined to repeat them. And I try to stay vibrant and by learning from my mistakes. I made some there, and I'm probably making some in the place I'm doing now, but I learned, and the next place will be better.
Nice. What music was playing at the time? Do you remember that?
Music. There was DJ Cassidy, who plays a mixed format, and he was doing hip hop, the mixed format, and there was mostly house or EDM type music on the main floor.
Okay.
And rock, and so they have so many dance floors.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of everything everywhere.
Did you do all the rooms?
We designed the Marlin room, some of the hallways, the main floor. The room side we did partially. It was mostly done by this artist who's been working on it for many, many years. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. I did the basement also, and the Kochek also. The studio was done by Lonnie Ballinger, who owns the place, and he worked on the studio because it was very important to him to have that small, live, great sound little room. But I helped.
Did you have a beeper when you were working there?
No, I haven't had a beeper for a long time.
I'm trying to figure out what year this was.
No. Oh, I see where you're going. No, this was like 6-7 years ago. That's all.
Okay. 6-7
years ago. It was right when that really bad recession hit, because it hit
2008?
What?
2008.
Whatever. I don't know. I don't know years. I'm sorry. I can't.
Okay.
You ask me what I'm doing next Friday. This Friday, I couldn't tell you. But I just don't. I just live every day. And try to get better as a person and as a creative force.
Yeah, you're definitely very creative.
But I can't remember a date. Forget that.
Tell us about your turkey tattoo.
My turkey tattoo. Well, as many people know me, I spent some time in the joint, and my friends were mostly non-human. Some of the humans were non-human, but I would play with it. I would try to catch up to this flock of turkeys that was like 4 adults and about 10 children that passed by where I worked every day. And no matter how many times I hid from them or whatever, they would always find me. They'd stick their heads out, make noises, and run away. And I became fascinated with them. So now I have a giant turkey. It's about that big on my back, and because they always made me smile. So, but nice. I can't see it. So I don't know, But yeah, I have a giant turkey on my back. I have a lot of tattoos. I started getting them in my late 50s, and now I'm in my early 60s. I'm starting.
No tattoos before.
None. No, I think I got my first tattoo when I was 58.
Why not?
I didn't believe in them. I thought they were, I fell into that whole crap about what are you going to have it for the rest of your life and everything. And then, of course, as you get older, the rest of your life just seems much shorter, especially with the lifestyle I've lived. So you don't care about the permanency of the tattoo. And then once you get one, it's addicting. I mean, I got one, the first day I got one, and then I went back and I got 3 others that same day. So I had 4 the first day. And after that, I got one every 2 weeks. So, for years, for a few years, until now I have about 70. I learned a long time ago. If you know how many
70 tattoos?
Oh, yeah. If you know how many tattoos you have, you're a punk, So I now have a lot, but I want to get a lot more. My goal is to be 80 years old and somebody walks up to me and offers me the job as a tattoo man in Coney Island. I mean, I want somebody to offer me the gig. I don't necessarily want to
do you
take
want
that
them
gig.
like up your neck and on your face? And
Right now you can't even tell I have any because I hide them. But sometimes I wear them out. I mean,
I'm saying, do you want them like up?
Nah, I
your
don't
neck?
think so. I don't think so. I think you want to travel in different worlds, and I guess I'm comfortable in my own skin, but I guess I want to be able to go out without the brand for now. But of course,
You might
that
not
might change.
you might not get the Coney Island job then.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I didn't
My phone.
silence it.
Turn my phone off. You're using my phone. You've got to turn it off. Are you
I don't know
answering?
how to silence it.
Give it to me. Sorry about that, children.
Well, the addicting tattoo thing is not always true. I got a tattoo, and I promised I would never get one again.
You only have
Now
one.
I only have one. Yeah, I'm really scared of needles.
So am I. But we should get bro tattoos.
We're getting matching tattoos.
We'll get bro tattoos.
I thought about getting matching tattoos for this first episode on air.
I would have done that.
But the first time I got tattooed, I threw up and I pussied out. So thought that might not be the best idea. But the plan is to get matching NYC tattoos.
NYC, huh?
Yeah, we spoke about this.
NYC, huh? I'm not sure, but we'll talk about it.
We'll
Queens,
talk about
let's
it.
say Queens.
We'll go live on Facebook.
How about
or like Instagram or whatever's cool at
how
the
about
time.
a live like the map of Queens?
Oh, we could get
With
Queen's
our respect-
tattoo.
Okay.
Are you a Mets fan?
I am a
I don't
Met-
know.
I am
I
a
don't know if I would
Mets
get a
fan,
Mets.
but I've been really busy the last 3 weeks and I haven't been following them. My mother told me last night that they're doing terribly.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
I don't follow anymore.
Yeah, well,
But maybe I don't know about a map though. I want something very small.
we'll work
I'm
on it.
afraid of
Let's
needles.
talk about this off the air.
All
Okay?
right. Yeah. So we'll go live. I'll go live, and you guys can see me cry. So what else? Have you been DJing?
No, I'm going to start again soon. There's a new club opening called Evil. It's
Where's that?
where the Village Whorehouse is.
Oh,
On,
corner of 12th.
Yeah, 11th, I think it is, 11th Street and 3rd Avenue. And I'm going to do a little, I'm a rock and roll DJ, so I'm going to do a little rock and roll DJing there. Not too much. It's very hard work to DJ, as you know, because you're a very successful DJ these days. And I just don't have the stamina. I can't design during the day and work at night as a DJ. And I'm writing, and there's too many things going on to where and you really have to DJ a lot to feel yourself. Otherwise, it's really hard to find the music that you're looking for. And I like to, I did it for relaxation and fun, and because I really was so bad at it, that when I became pretty good at it, it was really amazing to me that I had conquered that. I had accomplished something by working on
Practice.
something I was terrible at.
You have to be bad at something before you're good at it. That's like a general.
Well, I used to say that everybody can argue, and there's arguments about who's the best DJs in the world. Some people would say Junior Vasquez, some would say Tiesto, some would say Carl Cox. Well, there's a lot of argument on the top level, but there was no doubt who was the worst DJ in the world was, and that was me. But I did get better, much to my surprise. What?
All the three DJs you just mentioned are dance music.
Yeah.
House and dance.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Nobody gives credit to hip hop DJs as the greatest DJs.
Yeah, I don't think they have the name. I don't think it's as important. I think that I think people are moving away from house music. I mean, you're going to have your festivals, and there's going to be a billion people that are listening to it. But I think you're going to start seeing much more mixed format and other types of entertainment. And I think the big name DJs are going to work in Ibiza, and they're going to work in some places. I mean, you're going to have that 80,000 square foot club out here in Brooklyn, and that'll work there. But I think a lot of people are listening to different types of music. I don't listen to EDM. I mean, I took you to Tiesto. We went to Tiesto together, and I lasted about 30 minutes, loved it for 30 minutes, and then wanted to kill myself. So, and didn't like 10 people in the room. You were one of them. But it's not me, and I like guitars, and I like vocals, and I like a song with a little bit more meaning than feeling. I just don't like it, and yet I booked those DJs, and I booked that kind of music for years in my clubs. And it's not that I don't understand it, and I appreciate that some people like it. I just don't, and the people I hang out with don't.
You said to me one time that it's like a religion. That house music is like a
It
religion.
is a religion, yeah. It is. But so is rock and roll. Rock and
Yeah.
roll, and so is hip hop. I mean, if you take it seriously, but the difference between hip hop and rock and roll, I think, is that people following house and EDM will travel to go to festivals all over, and I don't think rockers do that so much. I don't think they're going out in the middle of the desert or hanging out and traveling to San Francisco or
Like the fish
go for 3 days, you know.
fish people. They
Grateful
definitely
Dead crowd did that, you know. I mean, it's not unheard of. I mean, Woodstock, you know, let's be real. But if you really think about it, there's probably 100 rock and roll acts that will sell out a stadium. And there aren't 100 EDM acts on their own that will. And that's that. I'm not sure anybody thinks that way, but I think it's true. There's maybe 5 hip hop acts that will do that, but I don't think there's a lot of EDM acts that will sell out stadiums. They will sell out festivals with 10 of them together, and it's great. It's a party, but to me, it doesn't click. I'm old. I'm old and cool.
Let's talk about your club days.
Well,
So,
we don't have as much time to talk about my club days. I mean,
a quick run through of your schedule during the day.
When I was a little kid, I used to look out my window, and it was the Empire State Building was framed perfectly in my window, and I always wanted to live in the Empire State Building. That was my goal.
Do they have any apartments?
No, but I didn't know that when I was looking at my window. It's just New York City was right there. So at a very early age, I'm talking about 8, 9, I would get on the subway by myself and go to Manhattan and walk around. Now, you could do that back in the 60s when I was a kid, but you can't do that now. People would arrest the parents and the kid would be taken in, whatever, you know. But I would do it. I would go down to the Flower District and I'd just explore. And I love Manhattan. I wanted to live in it. I don't love it as much anymore, by the way, but I wanted to live in it. And so I moved in. The club thing became because I helped some people working on their fashion shows, and I ended up being a fashion show director for a long time. I did 400 shows, and then I ended up doing them in clubs because the lights and sounds were there, and I fell in love with clubs. But I'm a nerd. I was always a nerd. I was the nerdiest kid in my school. I mean, I didn't talk to anybody, and yeah. But you're more obvious than me. So I didn't want to. I just did it like you do anything else. It's like playing Tetris or anything else, like a computer game. I did the clubs. I pretended I was Rick from Casablanca. I talked out of the side of my mouth and I told one-liners. I did all the rules that Rick did. I didn't drink with the guys. I did all. I never picked up the girl in the club. Yeah, I did all those things because Rick. And all of a sudden I became Rick, and I was slapping big guys in the face and talking out of the side. And all of a sudden people started believing it. And what's worse, I started to believe my own shit. So anyway, I ended up running like these incredible clubs, the best clubs in New York for 20 years or 30 years. I don't know how long, forever, decades, and. I became a different person, and the concept that I'm a nerd, but if you saw me at the end of the night, I go home to my wife, I'm kind of monogamous, and I have a dog that I walk and a couple of cats, and, you know, and that's where I take my pleasure. I'm not comfortable dancing in a club. I mean, I don't.
Were you a dancer?
Oh, I never danced. No, tough guys don't dance, you know, it's just, no, I never danced. I mean, I did. You know when I dance? I dance when I'm out of town and nobody knows me. I dance. But in New York, I don't, because I just think I'm so narcissistic. I think people are looking at me and judging me by the way I dance. So I didn't want to be judged in that way. But if I go to like Provincetown and I go to a gay club, and I'll dance with everybody and have the greatest time. But and I can dance. You know, the women I've dated have been shocked that I can dance when it gets down to it. But I don't. I don't enjoy it when I'm in a city of New York. That's because when you run clubs, not now, but back in the day, danger was around every corner. You never knew when somebody was going to attack you, take a shot at you, whatever. So your head is always moving around. You never look at anybody in the eye, and you're always ready to rumble. So dancing it takes you out of that zone. So it never was comfortable for me to be in New York City for like the 20, 30 years I ran clubs. I mean, let's face it, you don't make omelets without breaking eggs. It's a cliche, but you don't run nightclubs without breaking heads. And some people take that seriously, so, you know.
for some more tea.
Are you done?
No, I'm not done.
You want me to tell a joke? I mean, you know,
No,
okay.
I'm not done. Just quick tea break. Spill me.
That's not tea. I mean, I'm old, but I'm not dumb. I sold a lot of that shit. You okay?
Yeah.
You're blushing.
Oh no, you're making me blush.
Okay.
No, it's the lights.
That's what it is.
Yeah. No, I wanted to know about your schedule when you were working in the clubs, like your average day, if there was one.
The chicken come before the egg. Let's start with waking up in the morning. Let's say I woke up at 9 o'clock in the morning, 8:30, 9, like that, and not because any alarm clock went off, but because you had to get up that time, get dressed, answer the phone, whatever, do what you had to do, get to the office by noon, let's say. Then you work in the office at noon, you leave around 7 o'clock, 7:30, get something to eat. You're back at the club at 9, open up the club at 10, stay until 4, in terms of the people stay until 4, and then you close out, and you get out of there 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. So you get 2-3 hours of sleep, and then there's Sunday, and I would just sleep like 20 hours on Sunday.
Sunday was
and that
rest
was
day.
that. Yeah, that was it. And you learned to live on 3-4 hours a week, a night's sleep, when you have to. And then in there, I was DJing one night a week, and running things. And back then, people smoked, so you had to take a shower when you came home and wash the smoke out of your hair. And I didn't drink, thank God, so I didn't do drugs, so I was better than most, and most of the people faded. I mean, I wasn't much smarter than anybody else or whatever. I just stayed more sober than most people. And certainly in situations in the club, I was sober at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that was a rarity in my nightclubs. We sold a lot of booze. So, I mean, I enjoyed it. I still would do it. I'm too old to do it now, but I don't want to be in a club at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, but I still feel it in my, in my soul.
Yeah?
Yeah, I still feel it. I mean, I'd like to do a night one day, and that's what I like DJing. It almost felt like I was running. At least I was in control of that dance floor, and the crowd was coming for me. And I did all right. I did like 5 years at Hotel Chantel as a rock and roll DJ. I think it was Wednesdays, maybe Thursdays. I don't remember now. But they came, and I had a great time with Samuel Valentine, one of my favorite people in the world, a great rock and roll DJ promoter. And,
5 years.
Yeah, I did 5 or 6 years straight. And then I moved it over. Then we moved it over to DL, and we lasted a little while over there too. So I DJed for many, many years, on a consistent basis. Plus a lot of other gigs. Other week. I was DJing 3-4 nights a week at one point, and still doing the work, the design work, and all that. And I'm not a young guy. I mean, at this point, I do really need to sleep a little bit. So whatever. That's the only thing that happens when you get older. I think, for me anyway, I have to sleep more than 3 hours a night. 5 would be 5 or 6. 5 is good.
5. I'm about 5.
Yeah, what are you, 25 years old?
26.
You're 26? My God.
Yeah.
My shoes are 26.
So you were not in the best health recently.
Right.
You mentioned sleeping, which reminded me of your pineapple friend.
Oh.
I thought
I got sick. I had a gallbladder problem,
we'd talk about
which was
pineapple.
misdiagnosed, and I was given painkillers, and it didn't go away. And in fact, it infected my liver, my lungs, everything went. I almost died. I was close to death, and then I was basically in bed for a number of months, and home for a hospital for about 2 weeks once, and then another week, and I was home. But when I was in the hospital and I was running like 104, 105 temperature, and they were giving me all these incredible drugs, and for someone that doesn't do drugs, to get 500 milligrams of Darvon and like all these other psycho drugs, I was hallucinating. And when the nurses would come in to talk to me, or the doctors, I was wasted. I would look down over here, and there was a pineapple that lived under my bed. We had sunglasses on, a little cartoon feet in our hands, and he didn't speak. He had his hairdo as the top of the pineapple, up like that.
I might have a drawing of him.
Do you have a drawing of it? And
no, I didn't bring that notebook.
Anyway, so when the nurses or doctors were talking to me, I'd look down to my left, and he'd give me a thumbs up, if they were telling the truth. And if he went like this, I asked them questions because I knew they were being untruthful. And he lived there, and he was as real as you are. I mean, I believed that he was there. And then that was pretty bad. But I also
Do you
had
have a name?
No, I never gave him a name. I think it was Piney, but I don't think we really ever had. I don't think we had a formal introduction. Then I had a teacup that was bronze. I think it was a teacup from the statue of Alice in Wonderland in Central Park. I'm not sure. And the teacup would fly into the room, get big, and I would get into the saucer.
No way.
And the pot was there.
That
And we'd
sounds
fly to another room, and we'd have tea. I'd get out, and we'd have tea with another patient. And then I'd fly back. I mean, this was going on. I mean, and
Whoa.
vivid. So
That's cool.
I think giving me all those painkillers, the morphines, and all that, it just really affected me. And plus the high fever, I did take a leak on the floor in front of a nurse, and started laughing.
How'd she react?
In front of my wife. They wanted to lock me up in the psycho ward, but my wife said he's not like this. But my temperature went from 98.6 to like 105, 106 in like a minute. So,
That's not good.
like that. So, my reaction to that was I was standing there as they were changing my bedsheet, was to whip it out and take a leak in front of everybody.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
I don't remember this personally, but I was told. And yes, what did they do? They cleaned it up, because that's what nurses do. Nurses are the greatest people in the world. They didn't, they asked my wife if I was really insane and needed to be locked in the psych ward. And she said no. And that was that. And they didn't tell me about it. It's my wife did, but they treated me dignity. Nurses are the greatest people in the world. They save your lives. They give you dignity.
Shout out to all the nurses out there.
Yeah, in fact, if this wife doesn't work out, I'm going to go for a nurse. That's what but this one's working out. She's all right.
Michelle's awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome. She puts up with me. And she's a smart woman. And I needed that. I didn't know it, We were talking on the way over how dumb I am. I mean, we were talking about how we couldn't find the place because smartphones are only as smart as the person, and I didn't graduate high school, apparently. I'm like the best junior college, But, yeah. So you're really good at this stuff. I'm really old at this stuff.
I was around a lot more.
Yeah, I'm beeper. As you said, I'm strictly beeper,
Do you think they still sell beepers?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess doctors and nurses who can't have a ring, maybe they have a vibration on this. I don't know.
You can set your phone on vibrate.
I bet you they. Yeah, I know that. But I don't know. Yeah, let's find out. I mean, that's something we'll do later on. We'll
beeper shopping.
We'll buy a beeper. Let's buy beepers. I want to have a beeper. How much can it cost?
Like $12.
I mean, what was it? It was like
For a
$10 a
fancy
month,
one.
wasn't it? Like $10 a month.
Smart beeper.
Yeah.
I don't know. I used to beep or whatever, call my mom.
So
when
anyway,
I got home from school.
just so the audience has full disclosure, because I don't like to do things aside, Wendy has been my assistant, and was my assistant for a while, and now, because of her DJing and her, was it your radio show, television show?
Radio.
Radio show. How many, tell the listeners how many hits you get on your radio show.
I host for TrackSource, and we've got 4 million listeners worldwide.
So now there's like 7 of you listening to me out there, but she has 4 million people listening to her on a radio show. So I'm very impressed with her. She's outgrown me, so I'm looking for a new assistant.
How are you?
I have to. I mean, you're too busy. You're just too busy to help me. So I'll do that. But I mean, I'm very proud of you. So I just want to let
Steve.
that. Now you got this thing, and I'm the first guest. So maybe have 4 million viewers on this one day.
Yeah, why not?
You'll be Oprah.
Oprah.
Wendy.
Wendy.
Oh, there's a Wendy, right?
Wendy Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. My name's Wendy too. I'm not going to change my name.
No, but maybe Escobar, because that's a really cool name.
Yeah, I have a pretty cool name.
It has all those connotations.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of shit for that?
Yeah. I get less shit now. Nobody asks if I'm related to Pablo anymore. Everybody asks if I'm related to Ellie.
Ellie Escobar, the DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Nicest guy in the world.
Yeah. So he's blowing up, and so that's all I get. And I miss getting asked if I'm related to Pablo. I'm related to neither, but
Would you want to be?
No, No, I wouldn't. Well, I would love to just
I
be
just
myself.
Asked, I'm
No.
just asking.
No, not at all. No, I mean,
Is there something missing in your life? You want to be
No, not at all.
The granddaughter of a drug kingpin?
It's just no. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just different things. Times have changed. People are more interested in Ellie than Pablo.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Narcos. Ellie's doing better than Narcos. I don't know.
Do you want to talk about something else? Or are we done?
How much? What time is it?
6:30.
How long have we been?
About 30 minutes.
I don't know. I mean, we can talk. I mean, we can talk for hours. We talk so much shit.
All right.
Naturally. Yeah, I'm not sure what else has been going on with you.
What's been going on with me? Well, I stopped writing for Black Book a little bit. I'm going to start again.
You wrote like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. I'm writing sporadically though. I used to write 5 days a week. Now I'm writing once every 2 weeks. So I'm going to start doing that more often. I write columns for Black Book magazine called Good Night, Mr. Lewis.
You also have the NYC Dinosaur.
No, I have a website called a Facebook page called New York City Closed Club Game.
Oh, there you go. That's
New York City Closed Club
my
Game.
bad.
New York City Dinosaur spun off on us because they were posting too much house music on it, and we didn't want to have that as a music site. So it's basically New York City Closed Club Game is a site where people discuss clubs that have been closed and have pictures and post hundreds of pictures of it. And we've got 4,000 members, and it's really fun. And if you ask somebody a question, somebody will know whatever happened to that guy.
Yeah, like somebody will post a picture. They'll ask like, "Who's that person in the far left?" Like, and then you'll get like 13 people commenting. Who it is, tagging the person,
tell stories about
updating like everyone what happened. So that's pretty cool.
Well, the worst part of it is that some of us are dying. As we get, especially club people, they pass, and so you get to eulogize them, and you have events around them where you get to invite people, and people who care get instant knowledge of when that event is. Our good friend Walter Cessna died recently, and right now there's a meeting going on right this time. He's a stylist, an extraordinary eye, an artist, a photographer. He was a really all-around great person. So right now, as we're sitting here, there's a meeting going on where the event will be, and I'll get involved a little bit on where the venue is. I'll try to secure a venue for them. But that's the purpose of the New York City Closed Club Game. I mean, you meet people in clubs and you close. 10 years later, you lose track of them. You get married, people move on. But it's good to have a place where you can check in and say, how you doing? And tell people about what you're working on, and show pictures of other friends that have been forgotten by most, and or moved away to Europe or to California or Florida or whatever. And it's I love it. It was started by Alex Glenn, and he's a partner in it with Andrea Richter, who was a manager type over at Nell's. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good thing to do.
You had that party. Are you doing any more parties with them?
We were doing parties. We were picking a year, let's say 1986, I think was the first one, or 1988. I don't remember. I'm bad with years. And the DJs come. We had Stretch Armstrong, Jazzy Nice, like all these DJs, and they come in and they play only music from that year. And it's kind of cool. People dress up and they dance, and it's actually an amazing feel. Like to only hear music from a year. Or then we amended it to only music that would have been played at a club that year. So you could go back a year or two because the song was a classic from that era. And, you're hearing Tears by, Frankie Knuckles and Satoshi Tommy and within the context. Now if you hear it as a one-off or as nostalgic is one thing, but to hear it within the context of the other music being played is pretty neat. And we did it. We did about 3 or 4 of those parties. And I guess I've been too busy. I saw Alex today. I talked to Andrew a couple of weeks ago. I guess we'll put another one together for the summer.
You should do another one.
Yeah, we'll do another one for the summer. We'll put one together. We'll do 1990. Because 90s are really hot right now.
I did have a question that I haven't asked you in person or here. Prince stories. You've got stories about everyone. You have Warhol stories. You've got Madonna stories.
When you work in run nightclubs, you're going to meet celebrities. Prince was a good guy. He did me a big favor once. I screwed him once. I was on Joan Rivers, and I was being interviewed by Joan, and I made a statement about him that he had walked into a club, the Palladium it was just 100,000, 108,000 square foot nightclub, and it was a gay night, and everybody was prancing around, lots of drag queens, and he ran in with his entourage, and he ran right out, and I said he showed up in a yellow outfit, head to toe yellow with bangles and stuff, and he's running out of the club. It's seemed weird, but he called me up. He literally complained about accusing him of being homophobic, which he wasn't, and years later he would come to my club, The World, and over the years, regularly, and over the years, he every so often one of his boys would call me up, and I'd have that number in my phone, and he would say he wants to play tonight, and I think he played for me about 5 times, and 6 times, where he literally called up at 7 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And he'd want to go in, and he would. He was playing the Garden or someplace else in the city or Meadowlands, whatever, and he would literally roll in with a truck and set up with incredible stars. People, Sam and Dave, I think it was, and like whatever, all these great people. The bass, I can't remember his name from Sly and the Family Stone, but great crews. And he would go on around 2 o'clock in the morning, and he would take the entire door, and we would keep the bar. So we would give up our Friday night, or Thursday night, or Saturday night, whatever it was, because it was just great to have that happen. How do you say no to it? And he would pack out. He would keep the door. Everybody paid. In fact, Eddie Murphy had to pay one night. And it was like, everybody paid. And the money, I believe, went to his crew and, to who helped set it up. So he was kind of a cool guy. And I had a lot of respect for him. He was very intelligent. Once you got to know him and he felt comfortable around you, and you weren't going to burn him in the press or something like that, he opened up and he was all right. He was quiet, but really kind of cool. Really cool. One of the coolest people I ever met. I was shocked by his death. I never saw behavior like that or recognized it in him. I'm pretty bad at that, not doing drugs. But I was shocked that he died of drug overdose, whatever. A reaction to drugs. But, I liked him. There's so many of them that are dead, Bowie, and all that. All these Madonna's alive, but she came to my clubs back in the day.
Bowie stories? Not
much. I mean, he played for me once with a band named Tin Machine at the World, which was an old, dance hall, from the 1800s, down on the Lower East Side on 2nd Street and Avenue C and B. And he played for us a couple nights as Tin Machine, and I said hello. I know people who knew him well, and they called him the White Knight or something, the White Duke or whatever it was, and they thought he was really cool. My friend Arthur found himself in a room with Ian Schrager, the hotelier, and Bowie one day, and my friend had about $20 to his name, and he's sitting there in a penthouse with these 2 guys, and it was kind of humbling, But he held his own. He was cool. Arthur Weinstein was one of the cool. You guys don't know him. You want to Google somebody cool? Google Arthur Weinstein. He's all right.
What makes someone cool, Steve?
Well, to me, the first rule of being cool is be a man of your word. If your word is good, then you're cool. Start off like that. And the second thing is a Clint Eastwood cliche, but a man must know his limitations. And if you think you're the shit, then you really aren't. I think that I never believe that I'm cool. I mean, cooler. I mean, I know that I'm more honest than many, and I know that I understand my limitations most of the time, and I kick myself when I overstep that. But I look at the stars at night, and I wonder where they are, and I look at the cracks in the sidewalk and the little creatures running around, and I wonder what's in the ocean, and I wonder about all the things that are around me that are living alternative lives, whether they're people or cats or birds, and sharing this limited time I have on Earth, and these people shared it with me. I mean, let's face it, we're going to be dust in the wind, another cliche, in a very short time, me shorter than you, hopefully, and I'm very humbled by being here. As I reach the ripe old age of 64, which is I am, and I'm married now to a wonderful woman, and I'm happy as can be, happiest I've ever been in my life. I don't worry about death, whereas people at your age tend to. How much time do I have? I used to figure it out. I mean, oh my God, I'm gonna be 40. Oh my God, I don't worry about it. I've lived a great life, And when it goes, it goes. And I'm thankful for every minute I've been here. For every bad thing that ever happened to me, something great happened out of it. You know, when I lost my first wife, I found my second. When I was locked up in jail, I learned a lot. I used the time to study and get healthy and do all sorts of things and really find limitations. When you look at an abyss and you climb out of it, it really helps you as a person grow. I recommend jail for everyone. You know, it's because it's a growing experience. And I was afraid, and it's not wrong to admit that you're afraid of going to jail, but I was afraid going in, and you know, 2 days in, I was fine. I was working it. And I liked it. I actually enjoyed myself. And I know it sounds horrible, but I say that to people, but I had a great time. And when I got out, it was hard to adjust to the society, and only after a year. And my best friend killed himself. My best friend in prison killed himself because he couldn't handle the transaction. He did 3, and he couldn't handle it. And I wonder, how do these guys do it? But the world is not set up to survive something like that. And I've survived, and I'm thriving a little bit, you know, but I'm happy, and that makes me cool. Because if you can find yourself, find your voice, find yourself when you look in the mirror and know who you are, I think you're cool. And I don't care what you do, whether you sell tropical fish, drive a cab, or whatever. And the great Arthur Weinstein taught me that. We talked about him a minute ago. One day I was at the club, in front of the door of the Club World, which was the hottest club in the town at that time, and I was letting in some celebrity of the moment. And he said, "Why are you letting that asshole in?" He said to me, "Let those guys." And he pointed to 3 skateboarders. And I went, you know, like, you know, this guy's on, I got a TV show. He goes, "Fuck him." And you know what? He was right. The 3 skateboard kids were way cooler than the guy let in. And you learned. And that's it. So the skateboarders were cool and the guy was never cool. And after that, if a celebrity got in my face, I'd throw him out. If somebody treated one of my people wrong, I threw him out. And I didn't let him back in until he apologized. You know, and that's cool, I think. You know, I think Rick from Casablanca was cool. And I strive to be like him and has his values. Because he, in the end, gave up everything, including love, because it was the right thing to do. You know, and I think Casablanca is the greatest movie ever made, and I'm going to go home tonight and Netflix it. I don't have Netflix. You have to set up my Netflix for me, okay?
I'll give you my login.
That's that. So that's what's cool. Now, Arthur Weinstein's here on my arm, right here.
Where?
Here it is, right here. He was a lighting director late in life, and he, it's right here is a light bulb with the lighting film that says A.W. Arthur Weinstein, and yeah, he's just a great guy. His wife and daughter, wife Colleen and daughter Dahlia are still around. They live in the Chelsea Hotel, and where I lived for a minute.
Oh, they still live there?
They still live there. A lot of the old residents, my friends, still live there. Most of us were kicked out. Or I didn't get kicked out. I left before. I lived in the penthouse of the Chelsea for a minute. There's a bunch of them, and I loved it. I think it was the greatest place. It was a club. Stanley Bard died. He was the director of the hotel, the manager, and he was more of a curator, like a nightclub curator. And the people that lived there were just, you know, it was just a wonderful place to live in. It was like living in a small town in the heart of Manhattan, filled with the coolest people in the world. And you never knew who was going to stay for a couple of days or a week, like Grace Jones and Nina Hagen. All these people would stay. And the list is, the apartment I lived in, 2001: A Space Odyssey was written in it by Arthur Clarke.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's so cool.
John Wayne stayed there, John Garfield, in my apartment. I mean, it was one of those places that Isidore Duncan, the dancer from back then, died on the staircase leading up to my apartment. Each apartment had its unique history. And it's a shame that it's being turned into a hotel, but I just heard that Sean McPherson, who owns the Jane and Maritime and places like that, and he goes back. He's got a great eye, and he's got a great heart, and I think he'll do the right thing and make it a wonderful place again. I didn't like the idea of the owners who had it in between. So I think it's going to end up being all right.
All right, last one, I guess, a word of advice to club kids now. If, you know, you can call them club kids, but...
Yeah, I think there were club kids before the club kids. I mean, I just hooked up with Michael Allig, who was my best friend for many years, the Party Monster. The Party Monster. And my wife and I looked at each other about a week ago and said almost at the same time, I miss out Michael. And so she called him, she made the intro, and we're meeting him on Saturday night, going out with him. I think the best advice for anybody going to nightclubs, whether it be club kids or debutantes, is to not get caught up in it, and to not get caught up with the acts. Find the real people in those clubs, and if you want to find your own fantasy and look at it as a place where you can express parts of you that the rest of the world doesn't see, like my tattoos are hidden most of the time, but if you see a club like that, that's great. But I would have check yourself with booze and drugs. Make sure that you have somebody, a friend, who can tell you the truth when you're doing too much or you're losing it a little bit. And interestingly enough, in this age of cell phones and selfies and Instagram and all that, I heard two people talking the other day. I said this on another podcast, is I heard these two girls talking, and one was saying, and one was crying, the other one was helping her, and they said, you met him in a nightclub? What, are you crazy? And the point was, she was saying, was that you meet them on Tinder, meet them on OkCupid, but you don't meet people in a club because you can't know enough about them. And I loved that. And I thought that was very interesting. And I think that's going to change, that kind of conversation, that kind of thought is going to change nightclubs going forward. But clubs are a great place because if they're done right, which most aren't, you're mixing people of different cultures and economic stratas, and there's an exchange of ideas in fashion and hopefully music, and you grow. So if you see it as that, great. But if you get caught up to it, if it's an escape to the point where you're not really finding yourself but moving away from yourself, I think nightclub can be a destructive place. And I've seen lots of bodies and lots of people's lives ruined. And as a nightclub operator, we tried to stop people from destroying stuff. If someone was getting too fucked up every week, we would actually stop them from coming to our club. And then you would say, well, we'll just go to another club. And they go, well, you do that. But we didn't want that metamorphosis into a person who wasn't themselves anymore to happen. So we led by educating our crowds, from the front door to the music to who worked there, the type of people that worked there. We try to say something with that. And I think I like House of Yes these days. I go there. I'm talking to those people yesterday. They're really, really good people. And it's pretty close to what was. Although it's one thing mixed, some people mix in. It doesn't carry the 5 or 6 dimensions of the clubs of the old day, which were 100,000 square feet, 55,000 square feet. There's not 7 dance floors. There's 2. And, in a lounge area. But it's pretty good. It's really good. And by my standards, I tell everybody I think it's the best club in New York. And there's a bunch of places opening very soon in Manhattan. And I think they will redefine Manhattan. And, of course, there's that 80,000 square foot place opening out here somewhere that's going to be the new EDM / nightclub Brooklyn ultimate night space. I mean, the Palladium was 108,000. This would be probably the second biggest nightclub of all time in New York. And it's instead of a weekly festival that moves around, they're going to try to own it. And I think that the people running it, I think they will own it. So anyway, that's that. Cool. So I'm Wendy's first cool guest.
Yeah.
I
hope you found that interesting, and I hope you think Steve's cool. I think he's cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. And I'm looking forward to episode 2. Bye. Peace.
Peace. Good word. I named the club Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.